Hello boys and girls, welcome. Today we'll be doing a before you raid guide. Now this is going to cover things that you should do before you even start your first raid. Self-explanatory. So it's just going to cover a few simple topics. Now likely you've passed typing in your name, most likely maybe selecting your faction, which you want to be, Bear or USEC. Currently, as of 12.10, whether you want to be Bear or USEC really changes kind of like some of the starting gear you will get here. Here we have selected USEC, and this is what it has given us on a standard edition account. And mostly it's going to be cosmetic, just what your character can wear, because there are some different tops and bottoms you can buy later on, as well as the voice lines. If you select Bear, they will be in Russian. If you select USEC, they will be in English. Currently, that's all we have. So whether or not you want to understand one or the other voice lines and what you start off with and what your cosmetics look like is all you're really looking for. So most likely you're already past that point and you're wondering, hey, I haven't started a raid. What do I do first? Well, if you're sitting here looking at your stash, few things you want to do before you really do anything. Some of them are going to be a little optional. First things first, tasks are kind of the point of this game. Amongst other things, it's a big part of your progression. So each trader will have a tasks tab. Now you click up here and you want to accept these. Now the easiest thing to do while you're leveling up and everything is just periodically check these. When you turn in one, most likely they're going to give you another one, and you want to go through and accept them. You can accept as many as you can at a time, and there's different ways you can go through these, but just go through, accept all the tasks from each trader that you can. Just pop through each one, and it's a simple way to look at it. So once you've selected your tasks, those are going to be the things you can work on. When you're back at your stash, you can also click up here to see all the tasks you currently have, as well as when you're on the traders, you can look at the particular ones that they are offering. So once you've selected those, you kind of will have a rough idea of where you need to go, what you need to get done, or what things you need to grab to turn into these traders to level up. They'll give you XP and give you rewards and unlock some items that make your life a little bit easier. Now, after you've accepted your tasks, one thing I personally like to do, and this is kind of more optional, but eventually you're going to do it anyway, is identify all these items. Now, each one that you identify is going to give you a little bit of XP. Normally, you're probably going to gain 1 or 2 levels just by doing this. It's super tedious. It takes a long time, but it'll save you time in raid. So the biggest thing is if you pick up a gun, for instance, like one of these right here, I will not be able to equip that until I identify it. So say you wanted to do something quickly. I find this gun, I want to pick it up, I want to put it on, and I want to shoot this scav that might be right next to me that I didn't notice. I need to have this identified. I don't really want to be identifying it in raid. So go through, identify these. You can right click on them and hit examine. Or the default shortcut for this is just middle mouse. So you want to go through, hit middle mouse on every single one of these things. Also, you can find virtually anything in raid. So that includes the parts in each one, the magazine, the grip, literally every part when you click on guns are going to have all the different parts. So you need to examine the gun itself, click on the gun, examine the parts. And like I said, you'll gain XP as you do this, and it'll make your life easier. You won't have to do it for a bulk of the items in raid. You still will for the ones that you don't currently have the ability to buy from the traders. However, you can go to fence and say later in a wipe cycle, there'll be a lot of stuff on here that you don't have the ability to get from a trader yet. So you can go through here. You can start identifying some more stuff. You can refresh him. He'll come up with some more stuff, and you may keep finding stuff that you don't have identified. That you can keep doing that. It's an endless cycle. It's kind of a bottomless pit, and you can spend hours doing this because there are so many items in the game, and they're constantly adding more. However, it will make your life easier. By all means, stop when you feel it's necessary. If you can spend a couple hours doing this is something I do before every wipe, before I stream on the first day of the wipe. I will get up earlier and I will just sit here and identify items because I don't want to have to do it later. However, if you're wanting to play your new game, by all means, do a couple, hop in raid, come back out, do a couple. You know, it's not the end of the world. But personally, I like to identify them all just so I don't have to, it's less I have to do while I'm in raid and actually worrying about something. Next thing, I've identified my items, I've picked up my quests. Well, okay, I kind of know a ballpark of what I need to do. Well, there's a few different things you might want to know. For one, if you want to practice, you can go in, select your character, your PMC here, your main character that you're equipping from the stash. You can select a map and then hit enable offline mode. You can also apply any of these little PvE, these little enable scavs, you can enable bosses tagged and cursed, which all the scavs will just run and chase you no matter what, and adjust things. However, you just hit enable PvP and enable bosses, and virtually it's going to be similar to your online experience, obviously with other players. And some things are a little bit different in offline, as the way items spawn, things like that are going to be a little bit different. However, this is a good practice kind of match. You can go into the raid and play it virtually by yourself against AI. You will not keep anything you find. If you die, you will not lose anything. So it is all about practice. Even if you disable PvP and you go into the map just to learn the map, learn where the extractions are, this will make your life a lot easier once you're in raid and you're actually playing your first map. So say you get some loot, you maybe kill somebody, you know where to go to extract and keep that stuff and bring it back to your stash. Now, if you want to go into an actual PMC match for your first time, you want to click normally, no check marks here, go in. The first thing that's going to pop up is, do you want to insure your gear? So, talking about losing gear. Well, on your first match, depending on what you decide to pick up, we'll get to that in a little, or what you decide to go in with, and we'll get to that in a second. You can hit insure all, or click on each individual thing to insure or not insure it. And if you insure your items, that if nobody else picks them up in raid, say you die, your body's left there, anybody else can loot it. If nobody grabs your items and takes them out of the raid and puts them back in their stash, you have the chance to get them back. So especially as a new player, less than level 10, a lot of people might just not want to take your gear, or your gear is not worth a lot to them. Say your, M4s and stuff like that, it might be. Whereas a pack of armor, something cheaper, your pistol, who knows, might not be worth it to them. Or they might just see, hey, this person's brand new to the game, I'm going to go leave their stuff. It's usually worth it to insure something. Unless you are going labs, there is no insurance on the labs map. Just can't use it. It's a waste of money to insure before you go into labs. Every other map, I personally always insure everything. I just hit insure all, and money's usually no option for me. But, considering if you're newer, you may want to insure this or that, but insure everything. Now, as you notice, some things are not highlighted in orange. Ammo, meds, food, those kind of things are not going to be insured. They're just not able to be. So you will always lose those unless they are in your secure container. Now, your little pouch slot here, anything you put in there, whether it be in raid or before raid, if you die, it'll be saved. And you can bring it back into your stash. You can bring it into the next raid. You will never lose anything. So whether you put your keys, your meds, ammo, whatever is most expensive and most valuable to you, you want to put in here so you do not lose it if you die. You can change that mid-raid as well. So remember that if you put a bandage in there because you want to make sure you have more bandages later, or just the case or something like that, and you want to replace it with something more expensive you found in raid because it's easy for you to buy a bandage or something, by all means do that. It'll make you money in the long run. Always be thinking a little bit about that value, and if you can put something of more value for something less, or something easily replaceable. When it comes to the mags, it's only the mag, not the ammo inside of it, so always remember that too. Also, as you notice, the melee weapon is not insured. You do not need to insure melee weapons. They will always persist, so as soon as you put a melee in that slot, if you die, you will still have that melee weapon. As a starting player, if you leave your melee slot empty and you grab a melee from a scav, anything like that, you can and you die, you will bring that back to your stash. You can sell that to the traders. Will it be fence, or once you unlock Jaeger, Jaeger will usually pay the most for your melee weapons. And that's free money if you think of it that way. Or consider maybe later on you're hunting for a red rebel from Sturman. Easy click right onto that empty slot, and you can go ahead and persist that through death, and you'll have it. There's no losing it once it's equipped on that melee slot. So those are insurance, quick and easy. That's how you do that. You can also select night raids. Factory has a set day or night cycle. They are set times for Factory, whereas other maps, every single other one, except for Labs. Labs does not have a day or night. Every other map will have a day or night, and the time is always ticking in a 24-hour clock style cycle. So if you want to go night, you have to select the night time. Now, as a new player, most likely you do not want to play night because you don't have night vision or anything like that. Unless you want to crank up your gamma on some maps like Interchange, you sometimes don't even need night vision even without adjusting your graphics settings. So anything else that you need to know as a new player before you get into raid? Why, yes, there is. The option, the Scav. Now, what is the Scav? The Scav is something you can use once every, I think it starts about 15 to 20 minutes. So that timer counts down after you extract or die with your Scav. That 20-minute cooldown starts. But it is a randomly generated set of gears given to this Scav. You spawn into the map, usually kind of mid-raid, depending, in a random area, and you'll have different Scav extractions than a PMC. Some of them will line up depending on the map. And your sole goal is to collect whatever you want. Perhaps fight some bosses, some players, some other Scavs even, you can. Although that may change if you want to do that or not. They won't shoot you until you shoot them. And grab what you can, extract from the map, and then all that stuff can be put into your stash and used on your PMC character. So it's a free kind of like safety valve of, I can go into this raid equipped for free, and if I die, I haven't lost anything, and if I get out, I've gained something for my PMC that I can now use. So always keep that in mind of, if you're doing things poorly, you're trying to learn, use your Scav. When I'm brand new or starting in a wipe, a lot of times I'll play PMC, play a Scav, play PMC, play a Scav. That way, I'm kind of always giving his equipment to my PMC, and I'm always going in with something, even if I'm low on gear or money or something. I'm kind of funding him with my Scav almost every raid. So highly recommend it. Scaveng's honestly my favorite way to play because it's kind of like a Tarkov randomizer. You never know what you're going to go in with. You never know what you're going to get. And you pop in the middle of a raid. You really don't know what's going on until you're there. And it's a fun way to play and to learn the extractions and everything and the gear. It's 10 out of 10. All right, now, before you go into a raid, other things to know. Well, you have a food, water, hydration system. Depending on how much you know about Tarkov and what you've heard about it, you may be confused. Like, is this a little bit of a survival game? Well, it's very light on the survival system. So really what you need to worry about is your food and your energy and hydration. So those bars will be right here. There's a hydration right next to this energy meter, both at 100 out of 100. And you have food and water. Now, if you click on them, and this goes for any food item or water item in the game, it'll tell you how much energy and how much hydration they recover. Some things will cover both, and sometimes they will have negative effects to them. Your energy and hydration is something to always keep an eye on, because when you use something like a painkiller or a lot of different items that you will need to use in the meds or stimulant category, remove hydration or remove some energy or something like that, and keep in mind that those take off big chunks and you will need to replace them. Just like running around and everything takes down your energy and hydration. Now, as a new player, before you go into the raid, normally I do not bring food or water with me. Depending on your style of play and how long it takes you to get to a raid and stuff like that, you may need to take that with you. They aren't super expensive. You do find a lot of that stuff in raid, but consider if you are lost per se on one of your first raids because you're going slower and kind of looking around, which as a new player, I know I spent all 50 minutes of my 50-minute timer in raid the first couple of times. You may want some food or water with you. And again, the more of these guides and things that you have the knowledge to find it in raid might help you along, as well as, just knowledge is power in Tarkov. So knowing where to get those will change your mind. So if you're a little bit more comfortable with a particular map, maybe you want to leave that at home in the stash, or you're, what have you. So you may or may not need those, especially as a new player on your first couple of raids. You most likely will die. In Tarkov, everybody dies. Knowledge is power. So when you're new, expect an uphill battle. Expect in your first bunch of raids, your handful of them, you're most likely going to die until you have the knowledge to kind of make it through. And we've all done it. I literally probably every player has probably died a handful of the first 10, 15, 20 raids, just because it's all learning, and try to learn something from every death. So if I'm going into my first raid ever, I personally really like to just go with a pistol. I will bring in nothing but a pistol, maybe one extra mag at least, maybe an extra stack of ammo, and I will go from there. That way I'm going in with a pistol, a mag, and a stack of ammo. I'm most likely putting in my container, although that's not needed. You can put this in a rig or something like that. And maybe I would take a rig, depending on how much money you want to spend, a small one. That way I can replace it in raid with most likely something I'm going to find on a scav. I'm probably going to find a bag. And when you kill one of those AI, most likely I want to put on as much of his gear as I can. That's better than mine. Dump my insured stuff or hide it. That way I can get that back later. And I will, by taking only a pistol, I'm also allowing myself to take 2 guns. One in my sling and one on my back. And I can use those throughout the raid. Scavs are going to have ammo with them if you find them. And if I take a backpack, I'm gaining more stuff and have more slots to put things. That way I can take that out and put it back in my stash. Your mileage may vary depending on how comfortable you are and with your gear fear level. That'll be another video. And how comfortable you are with, say, single shotguns versus automatic versus shotgun, whatever. You'll kind of find what you like and what you feel most confident and successful with, and that's probably what you want to take. So I prefer going in with a pistol in my first bunch just because I have more slots. And I think of this as like, if I found a P.A.C.A. or some kind of armor, I can place this on. If I find the gun in raid, I can place this on, and I don't have to take up my backpack space. And most likely at the beginning, you're not going to have big bags. The more slots I can put things on, the better. That's my mindset. Again, your mileage may vary. You might have a different approach. By all means, do what finds you success, but that's my 2 cents. Not always the proper way to approach it, but it's the way I sometimes do it. Other things to keep in mind before you go and raid. Now, most likely, if you're equipping a whole set, kind of like what's on here, you have body armor, you have a rig, you can place your mags in there, you have some sort of meds that you want to bring. Meds are always, always, always something you want to bring. And then you might have a backpack, some food or water, and some extra ammo. On the topic of meds, a lot of the times at the beginning, if I'm just bringing a pistol or something like that, I will put my meds in my container just because I can quickly pop them out of my container and put something of more value inside it while I'm in raid. But I know if I die quickly, well, hey, these are here. I can get on to the next one. Now, you always do want to place something that's usually worth more. So in the case of like an AI2 or some kind of cheap med like this, I would probably put my ammo or something that's more worthwhile than just a med that I can go perhaps the therapist. I can buy one of these for 4,000 rubles. It's kind of no consequence. So you want to put the more expensive stuff in your container. As far as meds, there are a few things you want to take. One is going to be some sort of heal that actually heals your HP. Now, the AI2 is kind of like the bare minimum heal that heals your HP. So when it comes to your health, you have different limbs, and this is what is going to heal the number on that limb. And once these 100 points are gone, supplying 60 health here would take 60 of this. Once that's gone, it's gone. So you can see if you get shot up, you're probably going to need this or more. In addition to that, you have bleeds. A bandage, army bandage, there's several different types of bleeds. As you can see here, this stops light bleeding, is something you always want. So you want something for your health points. You want something to stop light bleeds, and in addition to that, there are heavy bleeds now, so you always want something to stop heavy bleeds as well. Now, when you go to therapist, we go right over to her, usually you will be able to find something like a tourniquet or the hemostat. These are different types of heavy bleed stoppers. This one is only used once. This one is a 3-time use, is 3 HP. That is 3 heavy bleeds it can stop. You always want something for light bleeds and heavy bleeds. They are different. A light bleed stopper will not stop a heavy, and a heavy will not stop a light. Now, when it comes to other types of kits, like the Salua or Car med kit, these are kind of multi-use things where they have a health HP resource. So that is, it can heal 220 points of health. However, if you want to stop a light bleed with this, it will also do that. But that will cost 50 of this HP resource. So it's almost like healing. If you want to stop a light bleed on a limb and you use this, it will take basically like healing 50 HP. But it will take that away from the HP resource, and then 50 HP to heal that 50 health on that limb. And then with your Salua, this one also stops heavy bleeds, but it'll take 175 of these HP resource. And that, again, is not counting the HP on that limb that needs to be healed. And there are many different kits like this that do different kind of things. There is like the Grizzly that also stops, like, is used like a splint. This is something as well that you may want to take into your raids, at least 1, maybe 2. If you get a fracture, you do need to use a splint to heal that fracture. Now, if you have a fractured limb or a blacked out limb and you start limping, painkillers remove pain and will allow you to walk and sprint again. Now, you always need painkillers virtually over anything, because at least you'll be able to keep moving in a reasonable pace towards getting some meds or food or whatever you need in raid. You can at least look for it if you have anything else lost. So having an extra painkiller, especially maybe something like a Vaseline or Golden Star, something that has multiple uses and long use painkiller, is great to always have in your container. As you can see, these painkillers only last 80 seconds. Now, my personal favorite is like the morphine. I use a lot because it lasts, I think, almost 7 minutes at the current time. It might be less than that now, maybe 5 minutes. But there's also a bottle of ibuprofen, things like that that last a long time. On anything, when in doubt, double click on it and it will tell you, because these things do change from patch to patch, especially like when they release the heavy bleeds and things like that. Just keep yourself aware that, like, Battlestate does kind of like to do stealth changes. Double click on them every once in a while and actually read what they do. That'll always keep you in the know if things do change. And that is just the same way with the food, the water. Just make sure you're on the same page of what they've changed and everything like that. So make sure you bring a splint, something to stop heavy bleeds, something to stop light bleeds, something to always heal your HP, and painkillers. Always want painkillers. So now you've equipped yourself with a kit. You know what kind of meds you need, what kind of ammo you need. As far as ammo goes, I will put an ammo chart down in the description, a link to the wiki. The biggest thing with ammo is there's a ton of it in this game. It's easy to get confused, and unlike the meds and the food, when you double click on these, they don't have much information except their color text and description. Now, when I started, I used to read these descriptions to kind of figure out roughly what kind of bullet it was. If it was like a hollow point or like an armor piercing round or something like that. Some of these are very confusing when you read them as to what they actually are. You don't really want to rely on that. always use an ammo chart. It's the easiest way. And there's two kind of theories with the ammo. You either want high pen, which will penetrate most of the armors in the game, or you want high flesh damage, which will do a lot of flesh damage. That way you can shoot somebody in the legs or arms and you can kill them very, very quickly by hitting those unarmored parts. Usually you're not going to use something in the middle because they're not great at either thing. My personal favorite is to always use something high pen. That way I can shoot through somebody's helmet and hit them in the head. I don't have to worry about their armor. Can you still kind of shoot them in the legs and kill them? Yeah, but it's not going to be as fast as doing something that with pure flesh damage. But on the flip side, if somebody has like a face mask or something and you shoot the high flesh damage ammo at them, you're most likely going to put tons and tons of bullets into their armor or face mask or helmet, and they're going to kind of shrug it off and then shoot you, and you might be dead in a couple of bullets. So just be aware of what kind of ammo you're using, and the easiest way to remember it, and this is not precise, is about 10 penetration, or 10 penetration per armor level. So there are 6 armor classes in the game, 1 through 6, and you want about 10 penetration to penetrate that armor. And that is just a rough guide. It is not exactly like that. If you want exact numbers, I can maybe find somewhere else where to link, and if I find it, I'll put it in the description. But there's some apps out there and some other things that are more precise with that. But that's just the easiest way to kind of ballpark it and remember. And I find it easy for new players to learn if they just kind of, that rough number, because 1 to 10 is something easy to remember, metric system. So if you remember that, so I always like to go with the high pen rounds. But look at your ammo chart, look at what you have, and ballpark from there. So when you approach an enemy, you have to kind of, and again, knowledge is power, identify what the best opportunity is going to be for you. Am I going to be able to shoot him in the face? Am I going to be able to shoot him in the chest? Am I going to be able to shoot him in the legs? What kind of ammo do I have, and where is that going to be effective? And the more times you run into this and the more you can identify what items they're wearing, the better you'll get at that. And again, knowledge is power. Now you've got your ammo, you've got your meds, you've got all that pretty much ready to go on your first quest. I believe that's everything you need to know before you raid. If you have another addition, is before you go into a map, the easiest thing to do, again, is use the wiki, like the ammo charts or anything. Use the wiki, find the map that shows you the extractions. Usually they have multiple fan-made maps on there. You can pick your favorite or what shows this particular area the most. They'll show you where everything is, what keys, what stashes are there, where your extractions where you'll need to go for your extractions. Follow those along in raid, whether it's put them on your phone, on your other monitor, print them out and laminate them. Have a map ready to go in case you find yourself lost in raid. You can hopefully orientate yourself with the map and kind of find your way out. Because I know, by all means, when you're starting out, you've finally got something. You've done well in a raid. You may find yourself low on time. You may find yourself needing to get out or wanting to get out because you had some success, and you need to head to that extract. And the only thing worse than losing some gear in a raid when you die is having a ton of stuff and dying because the time went out or because you got lost or something like that. So it's paramount that if you have success, you know where to go. And if you're somebody who likes to, experience things without any outside help, by all means, you do you. Getting lost in Tarkov can be really, really fun because the maps are great. But I know I've spent 50 minutes in customs, opening every single door, turning over every stone when I was brand new, and the map was about a third of the size of it that it is now. So it is fun. But if you find yourself having some success and you want to hopefully have a chance of getting out, use the maps on the wiki and help yourself out. Before you raid, if you have something to add, please put it in the comments. Let me know, and by all means, help each other out. Let's always help our new players. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Good luck on your raids, my friends. Doodles. I'm out.